Hey y'all, so this is episode 2 in this series. If you haven't done so already, go back and watch episode 1 where I discuss how I landed a skilled worker job here in the UK while I was residing in America. In this episode, I'm going to discuss the application process and how I successfully applied for a Tier 2 visa. Before I get into it, 2 disclaimers. Disclaimer number 1. When I moved here by myself. I do not have any children. At the time, I did not have a partner. I was single as a dollar bill. So I can only provide you advice and share my personal experience. And because I moved here by myself, I cannot explain how it works. If you have young children, I cannot explain how it works if you are married or if you have a partner, because that was not my experience. My experience is based on a single professional person who relocated across the pond. Disclaimer number 2 is if you are in contact with somebody that is telling you, if you give me 5,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds, I can guarantee that I can get you a skilled worker visa, you are being lied to. It is a scam and they are taking your money. Do not give your coins to no damn body. All of the major networks here, ITV, BBC, Channel 4, have all done documentaries and exposés talking about in great detail how people are losing thousands and thousands of dollars in this kind of scam, and you do not want your name added to that list. So do not give your money to anybody that's saying for sure that they can guarantee you a work visa, because none of this entire process, none of it is guaranteed. And it says so on the government's website. Now that I got that out the way, let's get into it. So there are 2 separate tracks that you can use to apply for the work visa. You can apply from inside the UK if you're already here, or you can apply from outside of the UK. Again, I applied for my work visa while I was still living in America, so the information that I'm sharing is based on that. I did not move here and then look for a job and then apply for a visa. I applied for the visa while I was still living back home. So again, this is the track that I followed. If you are already in the UK and you're looking to apply for a Tier 2 visa, I can't provide you any advice on that because that was not my experience. So once you get your skilled worker visa job, you have the option to either apply for a visa for 3 years or for longer than 3 years. So I personally applied for a visa for 5 years. And the reason why I chose 5 years is that's the amount of years that you consecutively have to reside in the UK in order to apply for indefinite leave to remain or permanent residency. In part 3 of this series, I'm going to go into detail about how I applied for indefinite leave to remain. So if you choose to apply for up to 3 years, it costs less than if you apply for 5 years. And I'll put the fee schedule on the screen. My personal advice would be to just apply for 5 years, unless you know that there's some reason where you may have to go back home or move somewhere else. It just makes it easier rather than having to extend your visa or try to find another sponsor. My advice would just be to go ahead and apply for the up to 5 years option, even though it costs more. In this next section, I'm going to be discussing the criminal record certificate, but I wanted to share that I had to disclose on my application that I was previously deported. That is separate from a criminal record certificate, but go back and watch this video. So depending on your circumstances and the type of skilled job that you have, you're going to have to provide to the Home Office, the UK government, additional and specific documents. So again, go back and watch part 1 of this series where I go into detail about which field that I work in. But in the field that I am currently employed and that I was employed in at the time that I applied for, one of the documents that was required is called a criminal record certificate. So I am a law-abiding citizen. Hopefully you are as well. So I don't have any issues in this area. But what I had to do in the United States is I had to request an FBI background check, which is a federal government background check. So not just in the state that I was residing at the time, it checks all 50 states and all U.S. territories regarding if you have misdemeanors, felonies, and all of that. Again, I've never been arrested. I've never been to jail, any sort of problem. So some other documents that you'll need, you'll specifically have to request that from your job if your job just does not provide it to you as part of the skilled worker visa application process. So one of the documents that you need from your employer is called a COS, Certificate of Sponsorship. Now, it is not a literal certificate, so don't go looking for a piece of paper. What a COS is essentially is a digital record. So each employer in the UK that has the option to hire overseas workers and offer sponsorship, it is the code that correlates to the Home Office system with your role. So however many digits it is, it might be 8 digits, it might be 10 digits, your employer will need to provide you with that certificate of sponsorship number in order for you to electronically input it into your application. So this is something that you won't have just through your paperwork. Your job will have to provide that to you. So, and that's really important. Make sure that you have your certificate of sponsorship. So the next thing that you'll need is your job or your occupation code. This is actually visible and searchable on the UK government's website. They do have a list of skilled worker jobs, job shortage list, where it lists each job and then it has 3 or 4 digits that correlates with that job. So you'll just need to look on the website, the government website, in order to get whatever code correlates with your specific occupation, because again, you'll need to list that on the application. You'll also need the full name of your employer, and you'll need whatever your specific job title is. And those things you'll obviously have to get from your employer in order to be able to input it on your electronic application. So the next thing is proof of proficiency in the English language. Because I'm an American citizen, I do not have to provide proof that I can speak English. If you are from a country where the dominant language is English, the assumption is that you speak English at a high proficiency. So if you're Canadian, if you're from Jamaica, Guyana, the US, you just provide your passport, and that is proof that you are from a majority English speaking nation. However, if you're from Italy or Portugal, anywhere where English is not the dominant language, you will need to provide proof that you are proficient in the English language. Again, because this is something that I specifically did not have to do, I cannot provide you with detailed advice on what this looks like. My understanding is that you have to take some sort of proficiency exam and provide proof that you've passed that exam as part of your application process. Tune back in next week for part 3. See you then.